from attachment to their work, so should the learned also act, O Bhārata, Arjuna, but without any attachment, with a desire to maintain the world order. Okay, so in this verse, Sri Krishna is stressing again and again that it's not the actions that we're committing, but the way in which we act. So he will go through and explain that a knowledgeable and a non-attached person should act in the same way that an ignorant and attached person acts, but with the desire to maintain the world order. So this is Loka Sangraham, and I'll go into this in a little while and explain exactly what the word means. But that's the topic of this verse. So it's actually sort of describing that there's not actually a change in the type of actions that not in the actions itself that you do, but the way in which you carry out those actions. So, say for example, the knowledgeable and non-attached person will perform the same actions as the ignorant and attached person, but there's a big difference in the way in which they act. So, because of this big difference, there's a big difference in their karmas. You don't necessarily need to change your actions from the outside, but actually from the inside. And our rishis sort of give a lot of importance to this. This subject basically talks about the fact that the rishis have said, we don't have to particularly not perform an act in our life. They're not saying don't get married, don't have children, don't buy a house, don't buy a new car. But, the way in which we do those actions, we should remember God. So in the Sanatana Dharma, we have these 16 different major cultural life events, whether it's being born, being married, having children, naming your child. And in every single event, we remember God. And there's never a point when we say, don't intersect with the material world, because both an ignorant person can get married and so can a knowledgeable person, but both of them are just as different as the sky and the earth. An ignorant person can have children, but a knowledgeable person can also have children, and the difference is the reasons in which they do this. Their reasons for doing so. So children are born to ignorant people as a result of lust, desires, and covetousness, and children are born to knowledgeable people in order to sort of progress and further their good deeds. So Guruji always defines a particular sentence, which is santan, which means a descendant, as sanyak tanoti santan, which basically means that even though we do good things, we carry on good activities, our bodies will eventually go. So whether it's not, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, our body doesn't last, and we all know that. But once our body goes, the good deeds that we've carried out should not stop. And this is where children come into play. So they continue to carry on the good deeds and the good work that you're doing. And a knowledgeable person actually has children for this very reason, for the maintenance of the world, or loka samgraham, which we see in this verse. In this way, you cannot say that you do not care what happens to the world after you pass away, because your good deeds last once you go. And Sri Krishna says very nicely that a knowledgeable person can act in the way that an ignorant person acts, because ignorant people act with a desire to get the fruits of actions, and therefore they work with a certain type of willingness. So say, for example, there's one person who wakes up early in the morning at 6, goes to work at 7, catches the train, and comes back home at 11. There's a driving force behind this. But the question that we need to consider is, why does this person act? Sri Krishna says in this verse that a knowledgeable and a non-attached person also performs the same works with the same amount of promptness. So the motivating forces should be different. An ignorant person works for the purpose of getting fruits of actions and objects, but a knowledgeable person must not lose its willingness. So a simple example to explain this point is an ignorant person will wake up to open their shop with the same sort of promptness and willingness, because he fears the competition might open their shop and will sort of gain more customers and make more money than him. Whereas a knowledgeable person with good thoughts will open up their shop with the same amount of promptness and willingness, because he wishes to do good things for society and be able to serve them. And he wants to prevent the person with bad thoughts becoming prominent in society. He also has a strong determination, so in the same way we should perform our actions with the same amount of determination and the same amount of promptness that's possible, without the desire to have the fruits of this action. And we should have the desire to maintain the world and make a better society. So perhaps we're then questioning ourselves, well, if such a person is performing these actions, then how should we live? And we see this answer in the next verse. So verse 26.